All right. We have head coach Keith Gavin here. Coach, if you want to start with an opening statement just about the start of the season and Sunday's Navy duel.
Yeah, sure. Well, we're happy that it is the opening of the season because there was a lot of uncertainty there. So to actually be competing and have competed already, we feel pretty lucky to be able to do that. And looking forward to this weekend for another tough duel.
We'll go ahead and open up for questions for Coach Gavin.
Keith, how concerned were you that this season would get off the ground? Even as the months started to build towards it.
Really concerned. Especially once we saw some teams dropping out, like the Ivy League dropped out, and some of the PSAC schools did. That was concerning, but. I felt good about our team the entire time. It just, we had the protocols in place and things were going pretty well for us. But obviously, it depends on everybody else too. So, yeah, it was. I was pretty concerned, but now that we're in it, we're just going week to week and happy to compete.
Coach, you guys fell a little short as a team to NC State last year in the ACC. What do you need to do this year to overcome them and really to officially become ACC champions as a team?
Yeah. Well, they have the same team they did last year. They didn't have any seniors on that team. So they're going to, it's going to be a tall task to beat them. But we have probably a better tournament team this year than we do a dual meet team. We have a number of guys that could be big point scorers for us in the ACC tournament. And, with only 6 teams, there's little room for error. But if you have a good day, and like we saw last year, I mean, we had about as good as days that we could have. Just came up just a little shy. But if we have a good day on that day, I think that we can do it.
At the end of last season, you had a couple guys who were hoping for a shot to compete nationally. Obviously, they didn't get that chance. What have you seen from those guys kind of in the run-up to this season and in the first match, maybe in terms of an extra gear, a little bit of a motivation boost that they've gotten from kind of having that opportunity taken away from them?
Yeah, those guys are pretty persistent. I mean, the guys that we're going to the national tournament and we were expecting to do well there. There really was no real concern. I mean, obviously that's disappointing, but this is what they do, so it's like they weren't gonna change anything. They got right back to work and they've been ready to go. It's everybody else that you worry about, the guys who haven't been there before, that haven't tasted that kind of success. And this is their first time in the lineup. It's a weird time for this to be your first time out there. But so far, I think everybody's had a good attitude about it.
Coach, what does it mean to have a Luke Fletcher on your staff now?
Luke's great. I've known Luke for a long time. Actually recruited him when he was in high school. I was assistant at Virginia at the time, but I always liked the way that Luke competed and the way he carried himself. He just has the right kind of attitude and character that we want our guys to have out on the mat and off the mat as well. So he's a great example, for our team. And obviously he's a very good wrestler. So he's still hands-on with all our lightweights and has a lot to teach them.
Keith, how would you say that just the attitude of your guys throughout the last, few months, as this season has started to progress and get closer and closer now that you guys are here, obviously, but, over the last few months, just in terms of like leadership and everything, how have your guys handled the protocols, the testing and all that kind of stuff?
It's been, our guys have done a great job as far as that goes. It was kind of like, there's nothing you could do about it. This is where we are right now, and this is the world we live in. So we like to wrestle. That's why we do it. I like to coach wrestling. The guys like to do it. So it wasn't going to change what we do or how we approach it. You got to get tested a couple times a week, and you got to keep your distance and wear your mask and do all that. But if that's what we have to do to have a season and wrestle at the national tournament, then it's a small price to pay. Last year with it being taken away, I think it just made everybody feel grateful to be able to compete again.
The Navy duel got off to a little bit of a slower start. You guys had to dig yourself out of a little bit of a hole, at least in that first half of the lineup. So what do you think you need to see going into Lehigh this weekend to get that first half of the match started off on a quicker pace? What do you need to see out of your lightweights?
Well, I mean, it's tough to say as in general because it's individual, but Colton Camacho, he's wrestled 125 for us. He needs more matches. This is his first time in the lineup. He wrestled a guy who's been around. He lost to that guy last year too, in almost the same way. They wrestled in at the Southern Scuffle tournament when Colton was wrestling unattached. But he needs more of those matches against guys that are veterans and are gonna look to grind it out. Cole Matthews, I think, is definitely skilled and talented enough. He just he scored early, and then he tried to manage the clock for the rest of the match, and it's just such a stressful way to wrestle. It's just a bad strategy, and we talked about it, and he had great practice yesterday. So we're hoping that he can make that change in competition because he's been practicing that. He's got good defense, but if you play defense for that long, it's just too stressful, and that stress is going to wear you out. And I think that's what we saw in his match in particular. So, yeah, those guys, I think Luke Kemmer is a little different. I thought Luke wrestled fairly well. There were some strange calls in that match, but he's just got to stay the course and try to get the next point no matter what. I think they'll still call him and he got in his head and he gave up an easy go behind and lost the match by a point. So, again, it's hard to say in general what they all need to do, but individually they all know their areas of concentration and we got a short week this week, wrestling already again on Saturday. So, they got to make those adjustments quickly.
Thanks.
You mentioned trying to get guys like Colton a little more experience. I read that both teams used an additional mat to kind of, get us some more reps before and after or during and after the duel. How important is that to your team to get, some additional reps, some additional competition with guys wearing a different singlet?
Yeah, it's huge, especially, this season, obviously it's a shortened season, so we only have 6 more dates left until the ACC tournament. So with guys like Colton, for him to get, he's going to wrestle twice at the Lehigh match as well, as long as they still are able to bring both their guys. But, yeah, that's the plan because you don't have that many opportunities and, it's kind of crunch time already. So we try to get them as many matches as we can in this short period of time and get them ready for the ACCs.
Any final questions for Coach?
Coach, this will be the first match at the Fitz, with a quieter crowd. Some of the other sports, like basketball and football that have played in empty stadiums have talked about, needing their own teams to bring a little bit more energy from the bench. Is that something you've thought about? Is that something you've addressed with the team?
No, it hasn't been anything that we really talked about. It's definitely gonna be a little different, but they've all experienced it before. Pitt versus Lehigh match would get a lot of people, and that's what's disappointing about it. It's fun to wrestle in that environment, but we wrestled teams last year where we'd go somewhere and there'd be nobody in the stands. So they're probably they've experienced it before, and if you're winning or losing based off the crowd, then we can't count on you. So, these guys know that they have a job to do and they got to execute whether there's a lot of people there or not.
Thank you all for joining us today. We have Micky Phillippi, 133-pounder redshirt junior, returning ACC champion, joining us now. And if we're all ready, we'll go ahead and get started. Micky, do you want to open up with an opening statement about how the first week of the season's gone for you?
Yeah, I think the season has started out pretty well for us. We had a tough match with Navy, which, they're always a tough team. They're a bunch of grinders, so that was cool to start the season out with a match like that and actually get exposed a little bit as a team so we know where we're at and we'll be ready moving forward. But it was a little shaky at first. The duel was tied going into, I want to say 197. I think, yeah. And I mean, we pulled it out, came together, and I think we showed that we're a strong team, and I'm excited to see where the year goes.
Micky, the last time you guys were on a mat, competitively was back in March, right? March 8th when everything kind of shut down. I mean, what was it like just to get out there and have that experience after such a long layoff?
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. It was cool to wear the Pitt singlet and be able to actually represent, because it's been a while, and we've all been itching to get out there and wrestle and compete. And I mean, it sucked to end the season the way it did. So we never really got to prove what we worked for all year. We never got that chance to go out there and become an All-American or a national champion. And I think a lot of our guys were just excited to get out there and show what we got. And I mean, last year was a learning experience to never take things for granted, because you never know what's going to happen. So now we're just, we're out there grateful for the opportunity to compete.
Hi, Mickey. Can you touch upon how you've handled the conditioning aspects of things in particular? Because, with this unconventional off season and what's going to be a very condensed season, how you've personally handled the conditioning aspect to make sure you're, in match shape earlier on, and, not using those first couple matches as almost a way to do that, since you have such a quicker season this year?
Yeah, I mean, I myself personally this year, just as soon as it ended, I really never, like last year whenever it stopped, I never stopped training and working towards the next thing, whatever that may be. And so for me, I really just tried to stay in shape the whole way through. But the things we're doing as a team is we're in here, coaches has us wrestling matches, like real matches, which will give you that feel. And he says, like, in your live goes, make sure you're exerting everything. Like, don't be afraid to get scored on, because this is where we get better. This is where we get that match feel, that conditioning that we need for later on. So, yeah, I mean, really it's just getting in the room here and wrestling and pushing each other. So, I mean, it's being accountable for yourself, but also for your teammates. And, yeah, so really it's just wrestling as much as we can. We're not like running a crazy amount or anything like that. We did have a preseason earlier this year where we had some runs and that prepared us for season, but really it's just, it's wrestling. And we have strength and conditioning coach too. So we're in there 3 days a week lifting. So.
Thanks.
When you guys, when the team kind of got back together back in the fall, and as you get back together for a regular season this semester, how have you guys kind of reacted to the different COVID protocols that have taken place or kind of govern our lives for the past few months? But how's the team kind of reacted to a different setting where you've got to interact with those protocols?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're just doing what we can with it. We've had multiple things put into place. Like, we had to practice as two separate groups, and for a while there we were staying with the same partner, and obviously wearing our masks in and out of the building, temperature checks when you walk in. We're getting tested multiple times a week. So really we're just, we're doing what we have to do. So really we're just reacting. We're just fortunate to be here. So really we're just, I don't know, I guess we're just doing what we have to, and we're okay with all the protocols, because if it means we can wrestle, then it's worth it. So I don't know if that answers your question, but.
Micky, you mentioned earlier, last season not being able to finish and really prove prove yourselves in the NCAAs and everything. What goals do you have personally, and then for this upcoming season, and then any for the team as a whole that you guys are really sticking to?
Yeah, we're trying to be the best we can be, literally the best we can be. So goals are high, sky's the limit. And I want to win a national title. So I don't really see anything else. That's what I'm focusing on, but I'm taking it one match at a time. So every match I'm going out there and wrestling my best, and, being prepared for the end of season, But yeah, I think as a team, we're all just trying to be the best we can be. And I think we have a solid team. There's a good group of guys here, a good mix between some veterans and younger guys. So hopefully the veterans can rub off on the younger guys, and we can have a great season. I think we will. I think Navy, like I said, was a good test for us. They're a solid team to start the year off with. So if we can just wrestle the way we were and continue to improve, like Coach Gavin told us after the match, he's like, focus on outworking your opponent and not just hanging on to leads and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's a goal, is to keep building on our leads and not being satisfied with just a close match or a win, like always striving for more. But right now, yeah, I mean, my goals are to win a national title. I mean, win the ACC first and win the national title, and just take it one match at a time here. I mean, it's a short season. I think we only have 6 more dual meets left. So, I mean, I'm just going to take it one match at a time, like I said.
Mickey, how much does having Luke Pletcher in the room help?
Oh, it's awesome. It's really cool. I've worked with Luke since I was a kid. We grew up together, going to the same wrestling clubs, and I mean, we were rivals growing up, being from like neighboring schools and in the same county. It was so we wrestled a ton. So now it's back to that the way it was in high school, when it was iron sharpened iron, and he pushed me to be better and I pushed him to be better. And now, I mean, he's pushing me in the room. Whenever I get to wrestle with him, it's a great opportunity. So it's really cool. And I think the other guys are really taking advantage of it too. Everyone around his weight that can work with him. And I mean, even the bigger guys, just to get some knowledge from a guy that probably should have won a national title last year. I mean, he was the #1 seed going into the tournament. So it's amazing. It's great the coaches are bringing people like that in to work with us.
Mickey, you mentioned that the Navy duel got off to a little bit of a tough start and a slower start than you were anticipating. So what do you think, especially for the lightweights or the first half of the lineup, what do you think is going to be key going into this weekend to get the Lehigh duel off to a quicker start?
Yeah, I mean, it's just getting those, I guess, nerves out of the way and not worrying about, I don't know, not worrying about the match so much for some guys, and just having fun out there. I think that's the big thing. And like, focus on the things Coach Gavin said, like control the mat and work on, like, not just like winning the match, but like improving the whole way through. So there's a couple matches I think we could have won where they were close matches, toss-up matches. And I mean, those go our way. The duel is we won handle. Like, we would have handled won the duel. So I think it's just this week capitalizing on that. And I mean, I have to myself too. Like, I got off to a slow start in my match, and I think I could have scored earlier. So this week I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to try to score early, score often. And I mean, just wait for things to open up, but capitalize on opportunities. And like I said, just have some fun out there. And I mean, we do this every day. We've been training for a long time, and it's been a big layoff. So now it's just taking advantage of the opportunity when we get out there against Lehigh. I think that'll be the difference. Just good mindset.
Do we have 1 or 2 more questions for Mickey before we wrap up with him?
Yeah, Mickey, this match against Lehigh will be the first at the Fitz this season. You know, kind of what are you looking forward to that? What are you anticipating in terms of a much quieter gym, perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be weird. We've like gotten good crowds in the past, especially the past 2 years. Like, we've built our program up, and I think we're doing well. So we've had a good following. So it will be weird to have less of a crowd, but I mean, we're just fortunate to be able to be out there and be able to compete in the field house. So I think that's really what we're all thinking, and we're excited to, you know, step out there on the mat in a familiar space and go out there and give it our all. So I think we're all real excited about it. Like you said, it's definitely going to be different than we're used to, but at the same time, it's like wrestling's wrestling, and it doesn't matter if there's a crowd or not. I mean, we have to do the same thing either way. Go out there and wrestle our best, try to win the match. So I guess we just got to put that idea behind us and just focus on the good aspects, the fact that, like, we're in there and able to compete, because last year, like I said, that was stripped away from us, and this season we're just hoping that we get to make it the whole way through, and we're excited for it. So
Nino, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, nice to be here.
We'll go ahead and open up for questions for Nino.
With a guy like Demetrius Thomas moving on just this past year, how do you try to replace him, his leadership and his wrestling skill on the team?
Yeah, obviously Meach was really impactful for our program, and I think he's one of those guys that doesn't come around too often. So trying to replace him, I think the best thing we can do is just try to implement, kind of what he's been doing and try to incorporate that in some of our guys and try to instill that in them that, he went out every match and he gave it his all. And I think that's kind of inspiring. And I think that's something that you can kind of teach with our guys that, kind of the success he had doing that and just his attitude toward wrestling. I feel like that's something that, we could all learn from. And, yeah, I think we're really lucky. We were really lucky to have him on our team. And I think now we're lucky to have him with our RTC program and that he's able to kind of showcase what he's been able to do for us.
How grateful are you guys just to be able to have the opportunity to have a season? And, throughout the fall, would you pay attention to, what's happening in, college football and now, college basketball, games being moved and games being canceled and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it definitely grateful to be back. I think, when it was going on, I think there was rumors about teams were kind of dropping out of their conferences and everything, but I didn't really look at it too much because I didn't really know what was going on, I guess, when it was happening. So I kind of just looked at it that's not really us. I didn't really hear anything about wrestling, so I just didn't, it didn't really concern me. So, but I think what kind of happened was I think that the ACC, basketball, I think dropped out. And then I was like, well, that was the kind of most concerning thing. So I just feel like when that happened, it was I knew something bad was happening. So, yeah, I hope that answered your question. Sorry.
What has it been like, I guess, preparing for this season? You guys had Navy already, and it's a shortened season. I mean, how different is that? And have you guys talked about how tight all everything is, and how few opportunities you guys really have to get out there before ACCs?
Yeah, it's definitely a weird season, and I just feel like as a team, we're pretty grateful to be back wrestling and everything. I just feel like it has been so long. And, yeah, like you said, with the shortened season, I feel like every match now is not that every match wasn't important back then, but I just feel like now, especially since there's so few matches that, we don't it's kind of crunch time already. Before we'd be kind of halfway in our season, last year, right about this time. So we definitely kind of, got to make the most out of each match, with how few we have. I think ACC season is in 6 weeks. So I think we just got to try to come into practice every day and just, really make the most out of it. Cause like you said, we don't really have that much time with everything, but it's better than, I guess it's better than nothing. I guess we are really grateful to be back. So I kind of think that goes hand in hand that we're all excited to be back. So we're kind of getting the most out of each practice. So yeah, we're kind of looking at it like that.
Nico, in talking with Micky earlier, he mentioned that one of the things that the team is focusing on and priding themselves on this year is not necessarily getting complacent with the lead, but making sure you continuously build on that and go out there and continue to get points. That's exactly what you did this weekend for yourself personally against Navy. So what do you think it was that allowed you to go out there and get to your offense, one, so quickly, and just continue to do that for the entire match?
Yeah, what Micky said, that was pretty spot on. But yeah, I think I just think that's kind of been my mindset, throughout college. I like to score a lot of points and I like to get my offense going. But, especially now, the coaches have been instilling in me that, I kind of got to be I kind of got to take it from people, whether, it's hard or not. And sometimes it's hard to rack up a lot of points like that for the team. And I knew it was kind of necessary. So I think kind of what drove me that match, especially, was that we were down and our team was down. So I knew we needed some big points. So I just kind of felt like, I had to kind of put out for my team. And I think that kind of drove me a little bit to try to get, some points like that. And that, along with, the coaches have been talking to me about, just confidence, like, not to be like, come off as, but I feel like I pretty good wrestler, and I feel like I've enhanced my skill set. So I feel like I can go out and take my offense to people, whether, they like it or not. So I feel like, with the team kind of on my back, I felt like I try to get as many points for them. And I'm just confident in myself that, I can go out and score points like that. So, yeah, it's kind of those two things, I feel like.